Welcome back, comic book collectors and enthusiasts. I'm Brandon, and I'd like to welcome you to a special community tag edition of M.O.N.Comics. Hey everyone, happy Saturday, a little impromptu video. I was actually tagged by a couple people in the comic book community for my top 5 keys in a recent community tag challenge that's been going around. So I was tagged at first by Romuel Valdivia. He does Romuel Valdivia comic book and food. He's the comic book player from the Himalaya. He has actually been really quite a good contact and friend to me since I started. I was watching his channel, and he loves to pick up a lot of older books. He loves Silver Age and some newer books. He goes to shops to hunt, and he has a really positive attitude. He wants to keep people motivated about getting out there and getting comics. It's just a great message, and positivity breeds more positivity. So Romuel, thank you very much for starting the tag, and I just wanted to give you your accolades that are due because I love watching your videos. The next person that tagged me was actually a person I started following quite feverishly on YouTube, as I loved watching his hunt videos. He is Mike from Lunch Money Comics. He tagged me yesterday and said some really kind words about me starting out as a YouTuber, and he was in fact my inspiration. And he was my inspiration for a couple of reasons, and the first being I just love that he collects what he wants. That's my style of collecting. I gravitate towards that. I get what comic books I enjoy to read or love for the art. I don't really spec. He doesn't really spec. There's no FOMO. It's just getting what you like and talking about it. So I really liked that. He just was, getting what he loved. And the other side of the coin for that was that he is quite close to many antique shops. He's an antique collector as well. He collects antiques. I think he collects quack medicine antique devices from back in the day. He collects gemstones and minerals, and he collects comics. So he has quite a bit of antique shops. He has comic shops that are close to access, and also flea markets. And I thought, man, I had already been collecting comics back in the game for a bit, and I was like, man, I wish I had a lot of those closer to me because I have to shop online. And I said, well, wait a minute. There's got to be other people that are out in the boonies that shop like me, that have to go through Facebook contacts, Instagram, whatnot, eBay. There's got to be other people like that. And I said, I bet I could make a channel showing how I obtain my books, not being able to go to shops or comic book shops or antique shows or anything like that, and talk about some awesome sellers that I met. So I definitely shop on Whatnot a lot, but through there I've met people that also have Instagram profiles, and I've been able to reach out to them directly and say, hey, this is what I'm looking for, can you accommodate? And yeah, sure, this is what we can do. So that's been really nice when you're hunting down books to complete runs or you're looking for big keys. So yeah, Mike might not know that, but he inadvertently gave me the idea for the channel. His positivity, just like Romuel's, was very infectious, and that's what I think this should all be about. We're all trying to have fun in a hobby we love, and watching on each other's videos saying, oh man, I love that book. And he got that X-Men, I think it was X-Men 143. Yeah, he had gotten it. I had seen it, and I was like, oh yeah, I need that. That's the Alien homage cover. So he had turned me on to some other books too. And he showed off his books last night. A Giant Size X-Men. Mike, always be proud to show that book. That is a lot of people's, everyone who loves the X-Men, that's a must-have. Nightcrawler is his favorite character. And yeah, it's just, there's so much to collect out there. And I actually, I have something I wanted to show off too. So Mike has always talked about collecting the Marvel cards from the 90s and being something that sparked his interest in comics, and I was the exact same way. So I've actually got just pages. I need to get a binder, but this is the second series, and Mike made a good point that this was a great series because it has all the stats on the back. So you can read through each character. Fin Fang Foom. Oh my god, I love Fin Fang Foom. Just a huge dragon. I loved his story. I loved that his first appearance, but it's really expensive. So I've got literally pages of all sorts of different Marvel series from the 90s. So you weren't the only one, Mike. There's Spider-Man, and I'm sure I got your Nightcrawler in here somewhere. So not only do I have those binders that I got to get into a box, but this was the original, one of the original boxes they came in. And I've got a ton of them. Just trying to figure out how to do a display with them. And I've got, I think, all first and second series. But what I really love is that I also collected some of the DC cards, and these are the holograms, hologram Hall of Fame. So this one is the Flash, and this one is Wave Rider. So DC put cards out too. I think I've got some DC in here, but I was more into the Marvel cards. That's what I was buying first, and I do have, here is some of the first edition Spider-Man holograms, Silver Surfer, and then you've got Wolverine, and then from the second series you've got Punisher, you've got Hulk, you've got Fantastic Four versus the Mole Man. So I know, Mike, you said you were going to start hunting these down. They're great to have. The nostalgia is great with them. The holograms were huge in the 90s. So I just wanted to say to Mike and a lot of other collectors out there that these definitely were the catalyst for a lot of us getting into comics and loving them as a kid. So we got that. All right, so this video is top 5 key books, and it was really hard for me to pick. So I picked ones that were both sentimental to me and that I was really, really grateful to add to my collection. So the first one up is Spawn #1. This is one that I bought in a collection from a friend. I actually had 3 of them, and I thought this was the nicest. Jeff from Comic Spa, who is a mutual contact of Mike and I, he does all of our work on our books. The only guy I trust with him. He did the pressing and cleaning for this. I loved Spawn's story, this cover, the art, McFarlane's art, and it's just a book that I sent in to CGC. I had properly cleaned, pressed, and it scored a 9.8. It is the only book I've sent in that has scored a 9.8 thus far, and I'm just very happy and proud to have this in my collection as a big Spawn fan. The next book is pretty sentimental because of my dad. I had mentioned a few videos ago that I lost my dad in 2021 to COVID, unfortunately. Just 9 days and he had passed away, and our whole family got it. It was one of the worst times of my life, obviously. But what my dad instilled in me growing up was love of movies, and especially 80s movies. And the one that we bonded over probably the most was Predator. He always loved that they assembled like the biggest macho team of Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, Jesse Ventura, and then there was just sly people like Billy Duke and Shane Black, and it was just a cool story that you don't see this creature until like the last 20 minutes of the movie. The suspense build up, they don't do that anymore. So this is the Predator #1. It is from 1989 and is the first appearance of Predator in comics, and this is from Dark Horse Comics. It's just such a cool, iconic cover. Every time I see this comic, it reminds me of the great times with my dad, whether we were watching this on a rainy Sunday afternoon or late night. He'd get home from work on the weekends, and because he was a chef for a while, and I'd be up watching movies, and he'd be like, "Predator's on, let's watch it," and he'd get a bowl of popcorn, and he'd be like, you couldn't keep up with the Predator. You couldn't defeat him. And I was like, hey, you could. It's all about being wily and skill and not brute force. So it's that stuff that I hold my dad very dear, and I miss him a lot. And this reminds me of some really good times with him. So Predator was definitely had to be on this list. The next book was just a cover I had been chasing for a while. The story is great too, but the cover is just really iconic, and in higher grades it's much more expensive to obtain. So I had to go, again, I got this raw off of Whatnot, Seeker's Eye Comics, and it is the classic. It is Batman 251, a classic Neil Adams cover and Denny O'Neil story. And this again was another one that I purchased. I knew it was in really bad shape. I sent it to Jeff. I said, can you do anything with this? And he's like, let me see what I can do. So he removed the cover. He gave it an aqueous bath in distilled water. He cleaned it. He pressed it. And I'm sure this would have been like a 1.5, 1.8 had I not done that. And he got it to be bumped up to 2. I really just wanted a 2.0 on it, and I would be happy, and mission accomplished. So just a really cool, iconic, classic Joker, Batman cover. I want to pick up more Neil Adams covers from both Marvel and DC. Some of his DC ones, as the Marvel are pretty pricey, so got to save the pennies. And yeah, definitely a ton of issues, including that stain in the back. I think Jeff said it was chocolate, so some kid might have put his hot chocolate down there and used it as a coaster. You don't know where the stories, what the stories were with these books, but definitely love this book. Had to put this in my top 5. the next two books are recent books. You know, I have 16 graded books. I have a lot of raw books that you see behind me, but these are ones that just resonated with me huge. This is one Mike also picked up recently too, in a little bit higher of a grade, but it is Fantastic Four 52. First appearance of the Black Panther and Inhumans appearance too. Wyatt Wingfoot's in here. I've read it online, and the guy that I bought this from was nice enough to send the reprint so I could read it on paper too. But classic. Kirby's one of my favorite cover artists, besides Neil Adams, John Romita Sr. I just always loved this book. I'm a huge Black Panther fan, and I didn't know if I'd able to obtain this. And in the video where I talked about wanting to get this as one of my 2023 collecting goals, I decided to sell some other collectibles that I just wasn't displaying, or wasn't really thrilled about, or just was outside the realm of comics, as I'm being hyper focused on comics, and funneled all that money into this. So it was a process. It took a couple months to get the money built up, and I was planning on buying this in person at the show I'm going to next weekend, which I'm going to do a video on, but I ran into a stream and whatnot, and these guys had it at a fair price. And I know there's writing on the cover and other issues, but I just don't care. I just wanted to own this book. It is still a 2.5, and it was at a reasonable price, and I'm glad I picked it up, because they're going to keep getting scooped up more. So Fantastic Four 52 had to be on there. And obviously, everyone could probably guess the last book. It's the jewel of my collection. It is Man-Thing #1 in his first solo series, 1974. Of course, his first appearance was Savage Tales #1, and there's some other firsts with him. But this was his first appearance, and this is signed by Frank Bruner, who did the cover art for him. Frank Bruner also worked on some amazing Doctor Strange covers, too, some other fantasy stuff. But yeah, I mean, just Man-Thing, I think I'm going to just go out and say that I really feel he's going to be in the MCU after his warm reception in Werewolf by Night. Him and Jack Russell as the Werewolf by Night had really great chemistry on screen, and he's just so powerful. He's the guardian of the Nexus of Realities down in the Everglades, so I think that could have some implications in the multiverse. Anyone who knows fear will get burned by his touch. And he was Ted DeSalis, who was a chemist. He got in a crash, and the chemistry he was working on mixed with the Everglades turned him into the Man-Thing. I really feel he's the next Groot. Groot was a big lumbering elemental-like creature that was lumbering. I always identified as Man-Thing. I'm a big guy. I'm 6'3", 260 pounds. So I always identified with the bigger creatures. And I think that just like Groot in the same way, he's this big passive. He looks kind of cuddly, but when he gets mad, it's bad. So Man-Thing #1 had to make it onto my list. So that is my top 5 books or keys that I own. Bringing the notes out so I can make sure I get this right. I was asked by Romuel to tag 5 people. I was asked by Mike to tag 3. I'm going to go in the middle and tag 4 because I'm a relatively new YouTuber, and a lot of the YouTubers I wanted to tag have already been tagged. So my kids are napping. I decided to make this video and get it out so I could at least tag these people. So the first person is Aussie comic book collector. I'll put his page picture up here. He is obviously an Aussie. He has a great collection. He has a ton of books, but he has some great key books, some new books. He just got Fantastic Four #4, I believe. He might show that in his video. I don't know. But, dude, show us your top 5 books, key books. I'd love to see him. I've been interacting with him a lot. Really nice guy. He picks up a lot of the Silver Age and stuff that I like too. So, yeah, you're up, dude. The next person I'd like to tag is actually a upstate New York guy out by Saratoga, New York. I forgot the town exactly he's in, but it's not Saratoga. It's just south of it. Marino's Collectibles, Randy. Randy used to own a shop during COVID, and he has closed it since, but he still does shows. He's doing Saratoga Comic-Con, I believe the weekend of May 5th and 6th, I think. I'm trying to get out there for one day so I can meet up with him, but he has great comic books. He sends a lot into CGC. I love looking at his wall behind him. He's got a picture of him and Stan Lee. He's got some awesome graded books. He collects, he's got some 90s toys he just showed off on his channel. Really cool stuff. So, Randy, I've seen some of your books. Show me the rest, man. I want to see what 5 you got. The next person, in the spirit of this being a video about community and helping up-and-coming YouTubers, is Gary's Comics and Movies. So Gary reviews a lot of comics and movies as well. He's just starting out, and some of his books he's shown are awesome. His Silver Surfer, his Spider-Man, and this is a gentleman that's been in the game for a while, and he's got some great books to show, and he has some awesome movie reviews. I can't remember what he just did the other day, someone's list of movies that he went through that were great. Sorry, Gary, I can't remember. It was someone's complete works of movies that you went through. And, oh, it was Michael Keaton. Yeah, Michael Keaton was my favorite Batman. And a lot of people said he couldn't do it, and he came out, and Mr. Mom did it, and I can't wait to see him in the new Flash movie. So he did a whole array on Michael Keaton movies, and some that I forgot from the 80s that were just wonderful. So, Gary, let me see what 5 comics you got. And my last person I want to reach out to, or shout out and tag, is Bigby McFly, the comic book guy. He reached out to me on Instagram. He was also a fan of Magic the Gathering comics. He's just starting out, so please go check him out. Bigby McFly, what 5 books do you have? I'd love to see. So that's it for today, gang. I already uploaded a video from yesterday if you want to check that out. It was just talking about the 100 subscriber giveaway. I'm almost at 200 subscribers, which is just mind-blowing to me. So thank you all for the community support. Legion of Comics, DJ Links, Lunch Money Comics, and everyone he follows. Thank you very much. I think what I'm going to do is wait and see if I can keep this momentum going and go to a 500 subscriber giveaway. I'm going to do something special. So there are still 4 books up for grabs in the 100 subscriber giveaway. Just watch the video before this one, and all you have to do is comment #100 and be subscribed to my channel. And next week, that closes on Thursday, and I'll run it that night and edit it into the video that will be dropping Friday. So thanks, everyone. I hope everyone had a great and safe St. Patrick's Day. I hope everyone's having a great weekend. Keep on reading those comics. Take care and be safe.